everyone. My name is Becca, and I'm the founder and owner of um, local activewear label called Liberty Active. We started this label around 3 years ago, and it is a female activewear line for activewear clothing, and also now expanded to accessories like yoga mats and core slider sets. Um, in with the mission to make women feel empowered, motivated, and confident when they wear our pieces, not just to the gym but also on the streets too. So our designs are very minimalistic, and it makes it very wearable and versatile for even when you want to grocery run do your grocery shoppings and also to travel.
Okay. All right. So, what inspired you to step onto this entrepreneurial and start your business?
Um, I think like um 4 years ago when I came back from to Malaysia from the UK. Back in the UK, I was in a sports university, so I was very involved in fitness and health. And coming back to Malaysia, the boutique fitness scene wasn't that big yet, but it was just starting to grow. Back then, there was this fitness startup called KFit, and I joined it with my co-founder back then, and we went on all these workouts together, and we were going up to like 2, 3 times a week. But we found that um, being fashion lovers, we couldn't really find any sportswear or activewear in Malaysia that was one stylish enough. We had all these like international brands and pioneer brands, but they were not affordable, and they were also not very suitable for Asian size fitting. So even till today, I'm not able to fit into some of these like international brands because their sizing is just way off. So we decided to come up with our own line. We researched on manufacturers, and we spent like about 6 months studying fabrics. So in when we found the a manufacturer that could accommodate our quantities and production needs, we proceeded with that, and a few months later, our label was born. And then we also tested out all these pieces with real women around us. So we kind of use our friends and acquaintances as a focus group, and we also made sure they were of different sizing, different shape, and very diverse group of people. And from there, that's how our brand took off.
Okay. Okay, so the next question would be, what is the best memory you have while starting or running your business?
Um, this one is quite a strange one. So there was one time where we did an event, and one of the door gifts was the idea was to come up with like a mini yoga mat. So we took like foam, like we bought foam from the bookstore, and we cut them into like, I think there were like 30, 40 participants back then. Um, and we cut it into 30, 40 pieces, and we started rolling them like to represent yoga mats, as just as a like thank you gift to our customers for coming to support us. And it was just one of our very first fitness events. That memory stuck to me because my partner and I were just together alone, like on my bedroom floor, rolling those mini yoga mats. And um, it's very special to me because it reminds me of how far we have grown since then. Um, and not to say that we don't need to get our hands dirty anymore, but it just reminds us of how the progress of the brand has been since then, and how we used to really get so personal and intimate with our customers by thinking of like personal gifts like that for them.
Wow, mini yoga mat. So cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one would be, is there an achievement or contribution that you are most proud of?
Ah, um, I think there have been a few. I guess like the first one would be when we were approached by Topshop to retail in their stores, but that hasn't gone through because obviously Topshop is no longer going to be in Malaysia. But just the thought of them recognizing us and them acknowledging us, although we are such a much smaller brand than them, that was a very that really that was something I'm proud of because I never expected that to be recognized by such big international brands. And then we also had a collaboration with Kate last year. They're a Tokyo cosmetic brand, and they came out with this collaboration where they wanted to reward our customers and we did like some sort of cross promotion with them, and things like giveaways and things like that. So it is a very um, it's very I'm even lost for words now. It's a very like it's so nice to see that there's actually brands out there who want to collaborate with us, although we would never have thought of um, campaigns or collaborations like that, because we are just such a small brand and we never ever thought we would be even in their radar.
Mm. Yeah, to work with like a local Malaysian brand, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's good to see that more international big brands are very receptive towards local brands now because everyone's more about supporting local these days. So it's good that they know that there is cross collaboration between both audiences and customers.
Yeah, agree. I and so we actually found a study that showed that one of the top 10 reasons why entrepreneurs fail or why entrepreneurs don't start their business is actually because they are scared that they have this fear of failing or just starting the business to commit. So were you scared when you first started your business?
Oh, of course. I think that's very normal to have that fear inside of you and also that fear of failure. But I think one of the I think later on you will probably address this, but probably the most important personality or skill to have in an entrepreneur is that you have resilience. So um, being scared is one thing, but how you react to it and how you don't just dwell on that feeling, and whether you make plans on to conquer that fear, is probably one of the most important things of like being an entrepreneur. Like it's fine and normal to be scared, and it's very important that you also have a good support group to support you when you have all these concerns and fears. But how you react to it and how you move on from it is also quite important.
Okay. And what was the biggest challenge or challenges faced when starting or running your business, and how did you overcome these challenges?
That's a great question. I think from the beginning, I've always wanted to run a very lean operations when it comes to my business. And being a brand that is small and being um, because we didn't get any like investment from anyone else. It's totally just purely my partners and I say and our my partners and my savings. So it was very important to make sure that everything was done internally and that things were and operations were lean and not very high cost. So um, having to prioritize like who to hire and what to outsource, I guess, would have been one of the biggest challenges. But how I conquered it was just to do a lot of research, and also network a lot. When you have a, a great network and you are not shy in asking questions, I believe you will find the solutions to what you want. So, for example, when it comes to fulfillment and operations, through reading, through like articles on Vulcan Post and stuff like that, we managed to find this 3PL delivery fulfillment company that handles all our delivery, fulfillment, and returns now. And so, and in by doing so, I believe we have like saved cost in hiring an operations team to manage all that because it's all outsourced now. but they're still reliable and they still have a system for us to track it. So by doing that, we are able to channel more of these funds into hiring like marketing and more design people that is the core and focus of the business and brand.
I see. And so every time you take a hit, and if you when you come across obstacles or challenges, what helps you stand back up?
uh,
Like what motivated you to continue and not just give up on your business?
I guess like having the responsibility and knowledge that your team really heavily relies on you, you you don't really have the time to think so much about what you're feeling right now. So um, you kind of just have to give yourself like time. Obviously, you have to be
Mm,
ready emotionally and mentally, but it's important also to always prioritize what your responsibilities are, and having a good support. I think I said before, like having a good support group that you can like bounce like concerns off is important, so that you can separate what you're emotionally feeling personally, and not make that you know um, affect your work and responsibilities as a leader and as an
mm.
entrepreneur.
So that responsibility kind of gives you like no choice but to bounce back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you also have you're also head of finance at Five Project, and you how did you balance between your that work, your full time work at Five Project, and also balance your work at Liberty Active, as well as how did you manage to have the work life balance?
Oh, I think I get this question a lot. um, so for one, having a reliable team on both sides has been a very good blessing to me. I'm able to prioritize what needs to be done and I've managed to also learn skills on how to delegate tasks efficiently in the team. And I also like dedicate time in the morning to work on my brand, and at night as well to work on my brand, and in the middle I will do the fly project stuff. And how I achieve work life balance is also making time in the day um, to work out, because that's my form of release and de-stress. Because if I feel like if I do both like every day without taking a break, eventually I will burn out, and obviously that affects productivity and the performance of both my roles. So that's why you see me at the studio like quite often, like almost, but it's only that allocated 1 hour a day to work out, and that becomes my form of release and keeping sane and keeping a great mental state to be able to perform well in both my roles.
So that means your time management must be really good to
Yes.
have the work life balance.
Correct.
So did you think your past challenges or failures have helped you and your business grow? How?
How did it make it grow?
Hmm. So for example, like your past challenges have helped you like learn and like you like applied to your business and like it progressed better and grew.
Yeah, wait, let me think of an example.
Mm,
Sorry. Yeah, I guess a challenge that I've always had was the technical side of my business. Like, at first, I wanted to learn everything on my own, but then sometimes when it comes to like crashes and like you can't fix it in a day, or obviously it's not
mm,
my expertise because I only know HTML and not the entire technical side of like doing a website. Um, and then I always had this ego where I wanted to do it on my own to feel this sense of achievement. But I've learned that I need to let go, and especially when my business is of a bigger size, um, things like the website and the technical parts is very important. So I've managed to find like some developers that I can pay on an ad hoc basis every time I need like a fix for it. So yeah, I think like the challenge was letting go of like that response, like that ego, and of that like control, and to put it in someone else's hands and trust them, where they have better expertise in that matter than I do.
I think I have that problem also, not being able to let go.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, what was the most rewarding thing that you have gained out of this whole entrepreneurial experience?
Okay. I think like the most rewarding experience would be reading customers' messages on how like we have managed to um, make a difference in how they perceive sportswear and how they now love wearing sportswear. Because we've also wanted to make it very inclusive. So that means we from the start. I mean, from quite a young stage of the business, we started including sizes like XL and XXL to cater to the plus size market. So they because we want them to feel confident and we want them to feel comfortable in working out as well. That is why we never excluded them, and we found that not many activewear brands in the market did this. And so we were one of the very first brands to cater to that. And we always receive very positive messages that they thank us for being so inclusive and not ruling them out. Although like people perceive that fitness is only for a certain type of look, we've always wanted to challenge that. And I think we have succeeded very well in doing that through all the customer messages that we receive quite often and quite frequently.
And what is the most surprising thing that you have learned from starting a business? So this is something that it can be something that you never thought you would learn if not for your business, or something that you never thought you need to know.
Okay. Um, I think from the beginning, I've always wanted to be very involved in customer service. So until today, I do go through the Instagram messages that we get, I go through the emails that we get from customers because I always wanted to put customer at the forefront. And in by doing so, I became a better customer myself. So I'm always mindful, like when I go out and I treat people in the service industry much better because I understand what it is to be on the other side. And yeah, that's one of the things I've learned about being in this business journey that I am on.
Okay. And has your business changed you?
Business changed me.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say so. I'm very much
Mm.
more good with my time management.
Mm.
I'm much more disciplined as well. I have a routine going on, and I always have this desire to be productive and desire um, to achieve success in everything I do, and make sure that I don't half-ass things, and that I always put my all into doing every task that I do. So I think it definitely has changed me for the better.
Okay. And do you have any future plans for your business? So this one, right? If you don't have anything to, or you don't want to review about your future business plans, you can see it more as a, how do you see your business in 5 to 10 years?
Okay. Um, I think like I would like to grow my brand more into the Asian region. So, um, yeah, that's where I want to see my business in 5 years. So I do want to see it in other countries, not just in Malaysia and Singapore, which we are present at the moment. Um, yeah, so that's what my plans are for my business.
Okay. And what do you think are the most important skills needed to be an entrepreneur? It can be more than one skill.
Okay. I think the first thing is that you have to be very resilient because every day it's ever changing, and you always come with roadblocks and come through roadblocks and come through issues that you would have to be uh, very quick on your feet to solve and have a very solution first like mindset. So and you don't really have time to like dwell in your emotions, so I feel like that's one thing that most entrepreneurs must have. They are able to set aside their personal feelings to have a very strong, headstrong, and clear mindset when it comes to dealing with their own business, and then especially the challenges that they will face. Second of all, I would say that you would need to be very disciplined to be an entrepreneur. So there are times where your friends will probably like ask you to go out and stay late at night, but the next day you have something important to launch. So sometimes you would have to give that up because obviously your business comes first. So yeah, that's why I say that you need to be disciplined in when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And then I would say as well that you need to have compassion. Um, and that's how I learned to be a better customer because when you are compassionate and genuine, I feel like people will be able to see that from your brand, and they will be able to, and they will be more inclined to support and love your brand.
So before we end this interview, what advice would you give to the struggling entrepreneur?
Um, so if you're a struggling entrepreneur and you're deciding whether to pursue a business or not, um, there are many like frameworks out there that helps you in finding out a product market fit for you and finding out whether your business is ready to be launched. And there are also many like mentors and support Facebook groups out there. So if you ever need someone to bounce off ideas from or bounce off conversations from, there will be people out there to help you. You just need to not be afraid to ask, and you need to have like very thick skin, I guess, like to be able to pose questions and ask the right questions, because it is an investment, not just in terms of monetary, but also on time from your side. So before you launch something, it's always good to have the have the confidence to start it, and to also, and it's also important to have a very strong support group that will help you later on.
Okay, so that is all for the interview. Thank you so much.
Okay, so hey, so I'm Blink. I used to DJ a lot pre-MCO. I do a lot of things. I picked up singing as well 2 years ago, but that's the music side. On top of that, I run a few businesses. Um, Now my primary focus is on a cafe called Hijau, which some of you know, it's a matcha cafe. And I also run a creative company with two of my partners called 33.3, which we are a creative solutions company. And we just try to solve creative problems using high-end technology or any creative ways. So yeah, so my main primary focus is Hijau and 33.3 for now. And of course, I also instruct spin classes for fun.
So for this next question, you can talk about, since you say your main business right now is Hijab and 33.3. So
Yeah.
what inspired you to step out into this entrepreneurial world and start your business?
Well, I think, well, I'm not sure when I started this journey, but I think, and most of my friends or my close friends have told me that they think that they saw this entrepreneur or a more of a business side of me since I was of a very young age, you know, other than just doing creative stuff, which I came from art school, they saw that side of me already. So actually, from college days, I've already had intentions, or they could see that it was already building up because I was always thinking of bigger ideas, not just like doing what I love at that point of time. Of course, I always tell people to focus on what they love, because if they do focus on what they love and do find that passion, they will never work a day in their life. You know, I mean, passion.
Yeah.
I always also say passion cannot feed us, you know? So there's also a balance that we need to find between passion and reality, you know? So going back to entrepreneurship, it's yeah, so I've been doing it through colleges. It could be selling a particular product that Malaysia didn't have. When I travel, I brought it back just to sell it to my friends, or ideas that could, have revenue. I would always think of that. So maybe it was not really stepping out of the box for me. I think even with music, right, even DJing, it is, I think, a brand that you need to build. It's not just playing music anymore. It's you have to take care of the brand, your social media presence, the way you interact with your audience, the music that you put out, the diverse catalog of music that you to put out, not only just for the dance floor, but people who listen on Spotify. So everything evolves. So yeah, I think it's just more than that I think about. So, but what made me start Hijau, I'll tell that, since the main topic is kind of about business here, is my family has always been in F&B. So I was born into a food family. So I'm a massive food lover. And yeah, I have so many ideas because through traveling, because of DJing, I get to try a lot of interesting food and also a lot of delicious food. So I've always have the thought of doing something on my own. So a few years back, I actually started a food truck with a couple of friends, which is called Mothership. And I think till today, it's very unique. I think we hit the food truck time at a little bit of its tipping point, where we only realized that Malaysians didn't really like to eat standing. Malaysians like to lepak. At the end of the day, lepak culture is still really big in Malaysia. So people like to have a sit down, chat with friends, and have a meal. So we didn't really lose money through the food truck, but we knew that a food truck was not a very good business model for us. It could work for others. I think if you were the chef, or if you could drive the truck and you had a helper, I think it can be a sustainable business if that is what you want, but that wasn't what we wanted. So we moved on. I hope one day that we will actually be able to bring the food back from the menu, because a lot of people still miss it, and I think it's still very unique till today. So yeah, so when that chapter ended, I had a thought of actually doing a product that was much more mass accepted, and the business model changed. For Mothership, it was very niche, it was very urban. Now we were moving into a territory that was more mass dominated, but we didn't think also that because it was such an acceptable product, which is nasi lemak, every corner in the city there was. So for people to travel or people to order, you needed to be super special. Not that we weren't special, but because nasi lemak is such of a convenience product, people actually go back to where they are used to. So I think it needed a longer time to really prove the product. That is another product that I'm still very proud of, and that we hope we can actually change the business model and bring it back to life again, maybe later in the future, but we were also unlucky because we opened in November 2019, roughly around there, and MCO hit us in March, right? So yeah. I don't think we had enough time to prove ourselves. And also one thing I learned from that was location. I think this is another question that it was going to pop up, but we just brought it up. Okay, so yeah.
But you also opened Hijau like in the mid of the pandemic, right?
It wasn't in the mid of pandemic. Okay, so you see, I think let's talk about timing. I felt that we just hit the timing in a very lucky space. And why would I say a lucky space? Okay, unfortunately, that time was also the time where there was an outbreak, right? The November-December period during the festive season, right? That's why we had the January and February lockdown. But because that time was the peak period. Everybody was going out, right? And when we
Yeah.
opened it, when we opened the cafe, it was fresh. So a lot of people actually came for 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the lockdown. And with that 2 or 3 weeks happening, there was a lot of social media engagement going on because a lot of people took pictures, they liked the space, and hence, because it was going around the internet, and then when there was lockdown, a lot of the people that couldn't travel to Hijau to try started ordering through
Really.
MCO 2.0. Yeah. So I think that was also a bit of a lucky move. I mean, these things you cannot calculate, you know. I mean, we didn't think MCO 3.0 will happen, you know, and yeah, it's tough, it's hard, but we just need to adapt. And I think yeah, I'm very thankful, and the team is very thankful as well that we just hit that space.
Just
Yeah.
open at the right timing, right?
Yeah, it was the right timing. The market didn't have such a product. You know, the space was cute, and I think people
Yeah.
like to take pictures with it. So yeah, just very thankful and blessed that that was the reception. You know, because at the end of the day, I think opening up a shop, it's like me putting out a song sometimes. Like how much effort you put into creating a product or how much you like it yourself doesn't mean other people will like it, you know. So there's
True.
a it's a big 50-50 chance. It's
Mhm.
always a gamble, I feel. I mean, not a gamble as
Especially
in
in
like gambling.
F&B business.
Yeah, especially, and you know, Malaysians, right? Malaysians are all food critiques, they're food masters, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own preferences. And but I know, starting from the food truck, I already know that we can never ever please everyone, you know. So I think if you believe in your product and with perseverance, and if the product is good, I think it will find a space or a place in this world, you know. And I think we can never compare to another product unless you're selling the same thing, right? Because mm, yeah, I think everyone takes in something very differently, you know.
Mm.
So like example, like we're doing matcha now. I'm not sure if we can ever compare ourselves to coffee, right? Maybe in 30
Yeah.
years, I don't know, right? But right now, I don't have that intention, right? Or we don't
Yeah.
have the intention to be like, yeah, we want people to have the same intake as coffee. I don't think it's possible because it's not
Mm.
in the culture yet, right? So it
Yeah.
takes time to build, but it's at least it's there's hope. I think there's progress. More and more people are drinking matcha. Well, I'm not sure about outside, but through Hijau, the feedbacks is a lot of friends of the customers that come say that, oh, they don't drink matcha, but because we infuse it with the local flavors, it's much more
Mm.
acceptable. And yeah, they started drinking matcha, right? So I'm just very glad that we get these kind of feedbacks.
Mm. So you mean that when you infuse the local flavors, you mean you mix matcha with Malaysian drinks?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a bit of story about hijau as well. Is that obviously some of you know, some of you don't know. There is Jane and Mandy, which comes from the Chucks group, and they pretty much take care of our branding, marketing, and of course the whole team speaks together. We all have different roles, you know, but they stand strong on that side. We're very, very grateful for them. And also we got um, Nico Nico. I mean, the one of the strongest matcha suppliers, or myself as an avid customer. That's how I knew Shun and Izzat, and how we've become partners is because I was a regular customer at Nico. So, and they bring in the special, like, you know, specialty and expertise of matcha into the company. And when I spoke to them prior the whole concept, you know, I think that's why they agreed, because I was trying to propose something that wasn't in the market and also is not in their menu. Hence, that's why they joined us as partners, you know. It doesn't clash with Nico. I think at the end of the day, we are exposing more matcha towards the whole country for now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will go regional one day. But yeah, the more people drink it in different ways, the culture will become bigger, right? I think that's the same with anything and everything. A lot of people are always afraid to share, especially within smaller countries, because people want to monopolize, right? But I think to grow, just like how we see the Western world, is because they are willingly sharing to amongst their friends or to partners. Of course, there's always friendly competition, you know, but it the willingness to share allows people to understand the product and also to grow, you know. But in Malaysia it's different, I feel. But slowly, I think mindsets are changing, which I'm happy. But yeah.
So the next question would be, what is the best memory you had while starting or running your business?
Which one? Hijab?
Any actually.
For hijab, I'll speak about people. And then 33.3, I'll speak about situation, okay? With hijab, I think the best experience I'm having right now is having the team. I think learning from my working experience as an employee has shaped me to become what I am as an employer. So I feel that I want the employees or the crew to actually feel the way I would want to feel as an employee, right? So yeah, so for the past 6 months, I think I have kind of like shaped this environment to where it's not doesn't feel like work as much. I mean, it's work. It gets stressful at times, but it's not like work at the same thing, same time, you know. And to be able to have them talk to me rather than to be afraid of me, you know, I think that's the most important thing. Because if they are afraid to talk to me, I think there won't be communication. And communication is the key to everything, I think, especially, you know, when there's such thing as operations, buying, marketing, you know, the whole team needs to communicate so well. And with them, with the people, having a good connection with them, each and every one of them, I feel it has been not such of a hurdle or like a burden, you know, working. You know, sometimes a lot of people don't like to communicate and it becomes like a burden. You know, you try to avoid these kind of conversations. But with the whole crew and myself, I speak to them like friends. So it's a little bit different. And I feel that I'm not sure if I can ever do that if it becomes 10 outlets. But if one day it does become 10 outlets, I'll still try to be as personal as today. I'll try my best. You know, I'm not sure if it's even possible, but you got to try, you know. So in hijab, I think that has been the best experience for me. It doesn't feel like going to work. It feels like you're going out to hang out with your friends, right? Yeah. Well, of course, yeah. I mean, everyone does their job well, and yeah, if they feel like that, and also while doing their job well, I mean, that's super amazing. Because for me, I just want everybody to be happy at work. You know, like you don't want to be dreading like the traffic to go to work, you know, waking up to go to work. I mean, that's like the worst. Like, why, right? Why? We all have a choice in everything we do. So yeah, that's that. And I'm glad. Thanks. So yeah, that's for people at Hijau, and for 33.3, I think what made me really happy was and made me realize was when we started 33.3, it was not. That's why I read this from the somewhere, a book or internet. Actually, when you put a lot of time into work and then you open something new or you do something new, it is actually not starting from scratch. I always feel, and it says that too. It's actually putting all your experience and you're actually starting fresh or whatever that you're doing. But yeah, but with all the experience you have, it's actually not new. It's just that your company is new, or whatever you're doing is new. Unless it's really out of the ordinary.
Like
Example, if yeah, unless like it's what you do, is like if you're creative and then suddenly, in 20 years you start doing accounting, okay, then that might be a little bit different. But I've always been in the creative field, as in like advertising, or music or entertainment. And then when I started 33.3, it wasn't new. The company was new. But in within a year, we did some major drone shows, even for the country, for Malaysia. And that really gave me a sense of joy, like when we flew our first drone show for Disney Avengers, that was a very proud moment. It was our big first job, and it was in such a short time. And the amount of viral shares and the whole country saw, it was just amazing, and putting up like 100 over 200 drones in the sky, lighting up the darkness. It was just amazing lah. I think when I looked up, I'm like, okay, it's like
wow, this is my life.
Yeah, it's like that's why I always tell. I mean, I speak to the team. I mean, them, and everyone wants things really fast now, instant gratification because of Instagram or social media, but it's not the truth. Some people, 1 out of 1 million, might get it like right away. Example, if we talk about music, Martin Garrix got famous really fast, like in a couple of years, right? But not everybody is Martin, right? Up till now, all the record labels are looking for the next Martin, but they still haven't found. How many? We got billions of people in the world, but they still haven't found the next Martin, right? So that chance is very slim, So most of the people that succeed actually go through a lot of hardship that people don't see, and I think people nowadays don't see that because they see Instagram like, oh, bam, or straight away they're what or they're who. But are they really what they are or who they are? We don't know. It's social media, right? At the end of the day, we don't even know if this so much of our media right now that we're looking, is it real or not? Even with this whole virus pandemic, I mean, there's so many fake news. Conspiracies. So we just live our lives, right? And then try not to go too deep into it. Yeah. So that was it. I think it's just through patience and working hard, you will get to where you want to be. I feel if you don't lose the hope and the fight. It may take longer time, for each and everyone, but I feel that most people get there. I think people don't get there because they quit.
Agree.
Yeah.
So my next question, right? I think you actually answered just now, which was what is there an achievement or contribution that you are most proud of? So I think you answered about the drone.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Then the next one would be, we actually found like the studies that show like the top 10 reasons why entrepreneurs, when they first start out, they fail or they are too scared to start is because they are scared. They have this fear of either failing or like starting this whole new like venture. So were you scared when you first started your business?
Okay. And again, right, when I start I think from a young age, I think that has been in me. I'm not afraid to fail. I think hence
Mm,
that's why I dare to do. Of course, I will be disappointed when I fail, but it's how fast you get back up to the new idea, or learning from what failed and making it work. So
mm,
I think with me, it was always been, I was never scared to fail. So I just try. I fail, I move on to the next one. Because I think, yeah, you're right. A lot of people are scared to fail. And even with spinning, I say that out. I always say that out. I mean, don't be afraid to make the mistakes on that ride, because you learn from that, and the next time you will know not to do it, right?
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm still nervous about it because I care about it so much that I want it to be a perfect class, but I'm not scared of it, right? I'm just nervous because I care, but I was never scared. I think, um, yeah, and I've mentioned this before, to a friend, and I said that most of the time, people actually only remember your victories, like they
That's
don't
true.
they don't care. They don't care because when you're failing, no one talks about you,
Mm,
you know? And that's why people say, oh, who's this new guy? I mean, as an entrepreneur, oh, who's this new NBA player, right?
yeah,
Like they're not new. They're not new. They've been
yeah,
doing so much and they failed so much, and they are in your radar, or they are on your radar because they want something, or
yeah,
they have done something big enough for you to notice them, right? So you see,
yeah,
and then boom, oh, they did
yeah.
something great. You know them already, right? So do you know their mistakes before? No, you don't even
Mm,
care. But people care because it actually is yourself. You can't pass that that hurdle, which is
mm,
yourself. Actually, is no one,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
you
it's like
know,
what
like
you
it's
said
just.
also. People on social media you see like just like that, whoa, they're successful, but you don't know what the hardships they've been through behind, right? So you don't know how many times they fail already. So it's like people don't talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's like me, it's me DJing too, people just, oh, the younger ones that doesn't know my history, they'll be like, oh, they think it's easy, until I tell them how long I've been doing it, or what what's the struggles. They'll be like, oh wow. Then they get taken aback, and they're like, oh wow, okay, that's a lot of things that you went through,
Mm,
but it's because it's very easy to just think it's just that. Like they walk into the club for the first time, they see you, it's like you're handling everything so smoothly. They'll just think like, oh, that's it, right?
yeah.
Like I think with spinning is the same, like me instructing now. I thought I wouldn't be able to multitask as well, because I never did multitask so much when I was DJing, right? I just had a mic,
Mm,
and I had CD players or DJMs and the crowd. But now the mic, the lights, me me actually spinning, the crowd, so many things, motivation
yeah.
talks. Yeah, so I was like, oh wow, can I do this? So, but I think really it all the experience that DJing gave me did give me like a 30% or 40% help for sure. Like
Mm,
being the confidence on stage and talking, I think it did give me a bit of help. Not completely. I feel anybody who puts time and effort still can do it, but I think it did help me. So I think, yeah.
yeah,
So
like it boosts you. It's like a booster.
yeah, it's like a booster, and yeah, and the talking on the right time, that kind of things. I think that came with experience. So I'm blessed that could have helped. At first, I was like, my first two classes, I was like, oh man, it's so different from DJing. Although the curation of the music was the same, but then after a while, I'm like, okay, I knew how to kind of like take bits and pieces of DJing and put it into the spin the spin class, you know. I just think that's for everything. It comes with experience lah. Yeah.
So next would be, what was your biggest challenge or challenges faced when you were starting your business, and how did you overcome it? Starting or running your
Okay.
business?
Okay. I have a good one on this one. I think what I want to talk about, or at least could help any of you who's listening to this talk, is that I think partnerships. I want to talk about partnerships because Mothership, I have a different group of partnerships. Nasi Lemak, I had a different group of partnerships. And now Hijau, there's another group of partnership, right? And I've learned throughout. I mean, I haven't fall out with any of them, which I'm very grateful for, because I think I'm one thing that we should all be is transparent. Just in everything we do, I think the more transparent we are, the least of the problems we would get, you know, in everything, operations wise, money wise, whatever, you know, just be very transparent. So with Mothership, I think what I've learned is everyone in the beginning always get excited, everybody, before the actual product comes out, yeah. But when you actually do it, then you realize who are the ones that actually will do it or is excited about it, you know. So I think starting a business with people, especially close friends, you have to be very careful, you know, and you don't want to spoil the friendship just because of money and business, you know, because it's a different thing, you know. That's why I always tell people what I've learned, you know, like I work with a lot of partners. Why? Even music, if you can see, Sue for Lapsap, Goldfish for Goldfish and Bling, Loud, I'm always DJing with David. I'm always with someone else. And hence, that's how I've learned working with people. It's not always your way as well, but sometimes if you need to be the leader, you need to lead, right? But there's always space for the other person. You know, it's like on a seesaw, you know, always balancing, you know, and always supporting each other. But if you're the leader, you need to lead, right? So that's how I learned a lot through the years. But so yeah, getting partnerships, always really ask yourself and the partners like what they bring onto the table, what are the values that they can bring, you know, and then realize it, you know, before starting it. Because, you know, always they'll say, let's start it first, and then we see how. That's always always the Malaysian style, you know. No, I feel it doesn't work that way lah. I think some works. Okay, the whole start first, think later is actually a very good ideology in terms of just say spinning, production, whatever, skipping, whatever that you have passionate, reading, start first, think later. Then you realize you enjoy it, man. But in business, it's not that. You know, when it comes to partnerships, it's not that. Everything else, I think start first, think later is quite good, you know, because when money comes into play, you know, a lot of friendships are broken from that too, right? And with Nasi Lemak, I had really understanding partners that I'm still in talks with. And one of them is like my mentor, right, in life. So I'm very grateful to have him in my life in such a short period. I met him and he supported me so much. And he had another guy, right, and that came into the company. So when the dynamic is different, it's very hard for a common goal, you know. So what I want to say about this whole chapter is, what value does your partner bring, and is the common goal the same? You know, I think you need to really draft it all out and say it, and then work on the common goal. Because when you execute and then you have a little bit more than 2 or 3 partners and they're not all agreeable to some things, it becomes very hard, especially to move through a period like this in a pandemic, because things needs to be decided on right away, not 2 weeks, not next week. It's now. Hey, we need to execute this. Is it good? Okay, go, try. Because no one has a formula through a pandemic. The last one was 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So in all businesses, I think the reaction, common goal, what values do they bring? And I think these two is super. I think that's what I've learned now. Like with Now Hijau, because through my past experiences, right? So before I start, I know already. Okay, this group does this best. That group does that best, right? And we all bring different values on the table. Hence, we're doing this. Okay, everyone's agreeable. Let's do that. Boom. We all trust each other on what we do best, and we go. So far, things are smooth, and I think when it's not also, we all come together to kind of like get it out of the way. So yeah.
You actually hit one of the top 10 reasons why entrepreneurs fail, which is partnership. So you actually did talk about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think it's all experience, it's real, all this stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time you take a hit like that, what helped you or made you stand back up?
I don't know. I think it's just the fire in me, in everything I do. That's why, all my friends know I love challenges, It doesn't matter if I win or lose, I will take up the challenge,
Because you're not afraid of failing also.
Yeah. I think that's why, so I will challenge, I will push through. So for me, it's like, okay, this doesn't work, let's go. Because, or not what you gonna do? As in, like, okay, you fail, right? Like you fail, what? Just sit back on the couch and just do nothing? No, ma. Right? Of course, it hurts. You get disappointed, but you there's no way you can move backwards already, because the wall's on your back already. Right? You already fell all the way back. So the only way forward is forward. So you have to think of your next move already, And the matcha store was actually in the works in my mind for a long time. Hence, that's why when Nasi Lemak failed, or I said a learning curve, it didn't really fail. It was just, I think, through a very bad time that we hit, right, through MCO, the first one. So yeah, straight away, I've learned also from, okay, food cost, because I never ran a business, right, until this whole food F&B started. So food costs, overheads like rental, like staff costing, and all this are so important and crucial throughout this period of time. So with Nasi Lemak happening, that was my first shop that I needed to pay rent for, right? And actually that really killed us, rental. So that's something I think for people who's starting a business should take note of, like make sure that the rental is even on rainy days, you can cover it with not such a big problem, because you don't want that to be the burden, right? So that's one thing. And so we found a small store, a product that the margin is slightly higher, run it with a smaller group of people at a time. These are the small little things that I've learned throughout the period, and then see if it expands or it needs expansion, then we will do it slowly, but just be a.
So besides having this Hijau Matcha Cafe, you also had other jobs as well at work, like you were a DJ. but and how did you manage your time between your work and as far as your work-life balance?
Um, I'm still actually the head of entertainment for Zookhair, although the club's not around. But Zookhair was sold, right? And I'm actually employed by the new group, right? And yeah, it's been since November. So for me, there's no balance. I think everyone's trying to find the balance, right? And I think there will never be a balance for me because I love my work so much, and I'm blessed and grateful that I found it through quite of a young age, and whatever that I do, I love. Hence, I don't need to find the balance, I feel, because that is all I want to do. I always want to make music. I always want to be in the studio. I always want to be in hijau. I always want to be in Zouk. That is what I want to be. I always want to be with Edwin and Zoo, my partners for 33.3, because they motivate me in life, and they're very optimistic, and we always solve creative issues in a good way or a great way. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to have a balance. What balance, I mean, I
yeah, so I mean,
yeah. So but yeah.
your work-life balance is basically, it's already your life. The whole thing is your life. The whole experience is your life. You don't see it as like work and life separate things.
Yeah. So hence, that's why I always feel find your passion, not because drawing is your passion, draw your whole life. That's not what I feel. Now I really understood what people say, like find your passion, right? It's because you find your passion and hopefully turn it into your life where you can actually monetize from it and live a life through your passion, or yeah, I think that's the only way, because I don't think I can work in a bank and find my passion, which is music. So work in a bank and DJ, right? Because at the end of the day, if I'm not enjoying my work, why am I going to work? Kind of. That's my mentality. That's for me lah. So I always found something that I found something that I really enjoyed. Only I'll do. And if anything I touch on, I really do it because I love it. Just like spinning. Now I dedicate so much time on music curation, making mashups, talking to the writers, because I really love it. I enjoy it. I totally enjoy it. I'm happy that I'm inspiring people in a new way. I'm building a healthy community, which I've kind of never done, because I mean, I love my music community, don't get me wrong, but it was always through like super drunk nights for them or super wild nights for them. Now it's like a complete opposite. I'm selling matcha in the day, I give you antioxidant in the days, and then in also other days I make you sweat through loud music. I'm also keeping you healthy. It's like it's such a good thing now. I mean, of course I'm still going back to DJing, no doubt, but I'm just very happy building this new community. Yeah.
Do you think your past challenges or failures have helped you or your business grow, and how? I think you kind of mentioned this also before.
Yeah, so I touched on the rental part, on how people should be aware of rental. Also, I think I spoke about being an employee. Sometimes whatever that you've come across your journey and it's hardship, sometimes you got to change the narrative and put it into a way where it's more of a lesson for you, as in like not to become that or to become of that situation. Always try to take something negative and turn it into positive. I'm not trying to say, hey man, be happy all your life or happy all the time. You should be, but of course there's the realistic times where you're sad, and that's okay, right? But don't dwell on that, I'm saying. And also when the situation comes, the negative situation, try to look upon it as in like, what do you take out of the negative situation and make it positive, because I think if you turn that around, you kind of learn something more than, oh, that was bad. You learn something not to be or who to be, then you'll be like, oh, okay, I learned something. Damn, that was such a bad situation. I argued with someone, or that guy was so rude. I should never be that to another person, because that person will feel that way, rather than becoming stressed. You turn it around and becoming like, oh, I learned something. I think that will kind of like de-stress so many situations, or make you much more happier, so that as an employee, I've learned that. Rental, I've touched on. What are the past experiences? Let's see. Yeah, I think in terms of that, I think I covered. Oh, and I wanted to put some more things in the work-life balance. The only thing that I feel that, because of me not having knowing what work-life balance is, because I love my work so much, I sacrifice a lot of things. And what is that? Is hangout times. So I can be a better friend if I wasn't this, or I could be a better boyfriend if I wasn't this, but I hope my friends understand me, because I do still keep in touch with them. I don't hang out as much with them, but I still keep in touch with everybody that I've known, or who've helped me from the start. But it's just that, I get inspired a lot from my heroes, especially sports people, or athletes, because I'm a very sports guy, So from Jordan, from Kobe, from Ronaldo, and all these, like, LeBron, on how to, do things for such a long time at such high level, is that with all greatness comes sacrifice, you know. So you cannot have everything. That is one thing. You just can't have everything. So you really need to know, like, although I don't hang out with them every day, but I still try to see them once a month, but I still get to see them. I mean, at the end of the day, we look back, was it because Malaysian bred us that way, lepak culture? Oh, every day have to lepak. Last time Mama sit in Mama and just talk what? Talk about people, talk about places every single day. Was that productive? I'm not sure. Rather, yeah, right. Rather, I now see people, and every 2 weeks or 1 week, and I talk about ideas, ideas, how to grow, and what we've learned from the week before, or what did we learn the past month, and we share with each other, and how that helps us in life, right? And I think that is great too, so yeah. And that's that. I think the whole work-life balance is, I have no balance, and the thing that I did was sacrifice all time with all my friends.
So, what was the most rewarding thing that you gain out of this whole experience of your starting your business?
Okay.
Creating
I don't think the reward is here yet, because I think now, yeah, I feel so. This is only the start of the journey. I don't think there's a reward. The reward is meeting new people, meeting new energy, because people come into the store. I meet new people. Spinning, I meet new people. But the thing is, yeah, I don't think the reward is here yet. I think the reward will come in 5-10 years. That's my thought.
See.
Yeah.
And what is the most surprising thing that you have learned from starting your business? So it's something you never thought you would learn if it's not for this business, or something that you would never thought that you would need to know.
Okay. What was it? I think it's small details, but I think most of the things I've already known, because I think my other friends who I grew up with was already starting businesses. So I already listened. I was always constantly listening to their conversations, or even when I was a a kid listening to my parents and my whole family talk about business. So I think nothing came of a surprise. I think it's just the minor details that we I hate doing. Maybe that's why it's like, oh, I wish I knew it. It's more of like the accounting stuff, which is numbers, like to be in detail, like, to be a bit more numbers driven and like that, because I was always on the creative side, but now managing a business, I need to be numbers driven also. So that is something that I thought I didn't need to know, but I really need to know. Yeah. So, but I mean, if you came from a business background, I mean, if you did study numbers, I think this wouldn't be new, right? But it could be the other way around. The numbers guys might be thinking, oh, I didn't know that I needed to know how to market or social media marketing. I thought that was all pointless. They might have that conversation, right? But for me, it's the other way. Whereas the social media marketing and all has been a norm for me. So for so many years, right?
And has your business changed you? But I feel like it's more like you changed the business, because you really come from the creative background.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think the business has changed me. I think it doesn't change my opinions. It shapes me along the way. It gives me more insights, as in like the whole customer is king, the whole service is king, and then there will be always different opinions and who to take from. These are the little things that I've learned starting this business, but I don't think it has changed me. I think I've learned from it, and I'm still learning. I've got so much to learn. It's just, as I told you, we're just 6 months old, and 33.3 is 3 years old. And I think 3 years is still very new, for a creative company. So yeah, I'm still learning. So it didn't change me, I think.
It's good. So, do you have any future plans for your business? So this can be more like how you see your business in 5 to 10 years.
That's why you said 5 to 10 years, and that's what I was saying about the rewards, 5 to 10 years. So
yeah.
I mean, this, right? So there is a roadmap. I see Hijau becoming a household brand for matcha, with more outlets. I mean, it's all these are goals. We will turn it into reality if we could, but what I picture is that we will have products. I won't name any products because we don't know if it will come true, but retail products. Hopefully we could have Hijau products outside of Hijau, as in like supermarkets, maybe. I hope to see Hijau in different states, hopefully even in different countries. I think that's where I see it. Of course, we will have merch coming out. That I can say is coming out soon. But yeah, so I think Hijau is just more than a matcha store. I always feel that the quality of the product is there. We believe in it for sure. It's up to the people to like. They not liking it is not a wrong thing, because I understand, because I also like things that they may like. I mean, as in like, I may not like things that they may like, right? So everyone has their own opinions. So if we believe in the product, we sell it. So in that sense, it's tight, but I always believe that Hijau is a place where we're trying to build a vibe where the people come in and we hope that they like the whole experience, the customer experience, from buying the products, tasting the products, and the crew will always give them a good time. That's always my priority. I always tell the people in the store as well, I mean us, right? That is always my priority, to be well mannered, to give them what they need, to understand the product. So when people ask what is what, they know, because I feel that in retail, especially, a lot of people are just working to work, right? They are not working because they like that particular product or brand. And I feel it's a shame because when you go to America or Europe or any great retail store, the people who are working in the store completely understands the language of the brand and know every single product and know what's even coming out. But in Malaysia, not all, I'm not saying all, but a lot of times I have encountered is the retail stores don't even know as much as me, right? I go into the store, I ask, they don't know. I say it's coming out, they don't know. What colors do you have? I don't know. Everything is I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So then what are they there for? I think it's just to pass time and to make that money. But I think that's I mean, I don't know. That's their thing. Everyone's different, right? But yeah, it's perspective lah. So for me, hijau. I just hope that, and I will try to make the crew understand the product as much, like why we're doing this, what does the flavor taste like, if it's refreshing, what are the drinks that's refreshing, right? Which are the sweeter drinks, rather than I ask then ask someone else, the cashier might ask someone else or that barista ask someone else, then it just seems like you don't know the product, right?
Yeah.
So so I
Yeah.
think that's that.
What do you think are the most important skills that are needed to be an entrepreneur? And be more than one.
You've got I think you definitely have to be resilient now. You definitely have to be, because if you're not, you quit, no? And as I said right from the start, again, and most people don't make it because they quit, right? It's just like music. I always bring music into it because that's what I've been doing the longest, right? It's never the first song. It's never the second song. It could be the 55th song that will actually give you your breakthrough, right? Think about how many people are making music right now, right? And how saturated the market space is. Everybody kind of sounds the same as well. Whatever the trend is, you try to make, right? So yeah, you have to be determined and persistent, I think.
So before we end this interview, what advice would you give to the struggling entrepreneurs out there?
Sorry, the younger ones?
The struggling entrepreneurs.
Okay, the struggling ones. I mean, I'm still struggling, right? I haven't made it yet. I haven't made it yet. I mean, I'm just very thankful that hijau is popping. I mean, it's not made it yet. That's definitely not it. I mean, I told you a bit of the ideas I have. So if you compare one store in Gasket Alley to that big picture, it's not made it yet, right? Maybe in 5-10 years we have this interview again, and I can tell you how I made it, right? But I'm just sharing all my experiences that maybe could help some of the young ones that's about to start up, because I don't think I am that successful in any ways. There's way more successful entrepreneurs than me. It's just I just try to help as much as I can with my experiences, but if there's anything
or maybe advice on those that is struggling to start their business.
Okay. I think, just like everything, when they say be unique, I truly understand now that after doing hijau, because what made it pop was also the matcha polo bun that we least expected, right? The matcha polo bun was actually an item that my brother-in-law, who also helped me on Mothership and Nasi Lemak, came up with as the bakery side. We wanted the pastries to support the drinks, right? But actually the matcha polo bun is the one that exploded. So why? because it's unique, right? And when it's unique, you stand in the marketplace where you're the only one. So people must get it from you, right? Hence, that's why everyone is saying, oh, be unique, be unique. But it's the toughest thing to do because you see, like Mothership, all our foods were super unique, right? But is it timing? Or, yeah, is it timing or is it because it's a nature of the environment as it was a food truck that people didn't like to go? If it was a cafe, could it have worked? Don't know, right? But be unique in the sense where when you're thinking of the business, it should captivate an audience where there's less competition. But if you're doing something with a massive competition, you still have to be unique because what's the thing that's going to stand out, right? Example, if you're producing gloves and you're going against Top Glove, just say, what makes you better than Top Glove? Why must I buy it from you? Are you cheaper and better, or what is it, right? So the thing is, be unique. I think about that.
Okay, so that's all for the interview. Thank you so much.
So my name's Ashley, and I run a company called Crumbs by Ashley, where I basically bake and I supply baking goods to cafes and also individuals.
What inspired you to step out into this entrepreneurial role and start your baking business?
For me, baking was kind of always a hobby, and I had to come back early from my degree in England because of COVID, and I was kind of stuck at home for a long time. So I picked the hobby back up and then started selling it just for like extra money, and then it kind of became something bigger than that.
And what is the best memory you have had while starting or running your business?
There's a lot. Like honestly, even like when you run a business, like even the bad memories become good memories in the end. So like there were a lot of nights where I was baking until like 1, 2 in the morning, and then I would wake up at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock to start baking again just to finish orders on time. And I think one of the bigger moments was me doing the BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement, where like we raised quite a bit of money, and I just donated it all away. So that was pretty nice. And yeah.
And is there an achievement or contribution that you are most proud of? Would that be the BLM one?
Yeah, so definitely BLM was like one of the biggest achievements, because we've only been running for about a year. And we did BLM when we first started, so within the first 2 months. So I think it was March, April of last year. And I think within a month, because the campaign was a month long, we raised about 2,000-3,000 ringgit, and it was all donated away. So like it's nice knowing that you kind of can help people while also having our customers enjoy our products.
And so we actually found out like this the studies that says like top 10 reasons why entrepreneurs fail, or like why people are scared to become entrepreneurs. And one of the reasons is that they have the fear of starting a business. They have the fear of like failing. So were you scared about starting your baking business?
Honestly, not really, because when I first started, it was kind of different because like I didn't start it for it to be a business. I just started it as like a side hustle kind of. And then once I graduated, it was also tough for us to all find a job during the peak of COVID and like everyone being super like scared and all that. So it was really tough for all of us. So the choice was either to go back and finish my master's or do my CLP or kind of go into the working world. So I just kind of chose to go on that path, but I wouldn't say I was scared. Like it just kind of fell into place. I was pretty lucky, to be fair.
So far, what was your biggest challenge or challenges when faced when starting or running your business, and how did you overcome this challenge?
I think when I first started, my biggest challenge was time management. So because while this was happening, I was still finishing my degree. So I was doing my finals and we had like a bunch of coursework programs to do and like exams to take, and also taking orders. So everything was kind of hectic. Um, so like a lot of it was like not getting enough sleep, and like biggest challenge was definitely like kind of finding out how to manage everything like properly. And then once it kind of picked up, I started training also 6 days a week, non-stop. So it was really tiring. But like now with MCO happening again, and two other jobs put on hold, I can kind of refocus on crumbs. And like after a while, like I learned to just manage my time a bit properly and like cut back where I can. So like I take less classes or I do less hours, and then I have more time to manage actual life.
So every time you take a hit, every time you face an obstacle or a challenge, what helped you stand back up?
I think one of the biggest like motivators to push forward is just knowing that I basically left my career field because I studied law. So like the general traditional way is like law and then like CLP and then get a job. And I definitely differed super far away from that. Like all my friends, a lot of my friends are still studying their CLP to take the bar. Improvements to be made. That's also another thing that like makes me like keeps me going when I need to.
So my next question is, so you mentioned that you were studying in you still had to complete your degree, and then currently you're also a spin instructor. So how did you manage your time between your different work and also your work-life balance?
In the beginning, it was really tough. Like I was really stressed out. I didn't see like a lot of my friends, and even like apart from crumbs, like when I taught my classes, it was very stressful because a class isn't just a class. You still have to think of everything after that and before that. So how I managed it was like again like pulling back on things that I could. So like instead of doing like 6 classes a week, I cut down to 3. And like really managing my expectations for myself, like knowing like where my limit stands and planning my things around it instead of planning my life around my job. So yeah, that way like I had more time to like spend with my friends. And I'm also really lucky because the job I have is I love doing it. So sometimes when like I'm still a bit tired, still a bit stressed out, it's still very worthwhile.
So you shifted from planning your life around your job to planning your job to suit your life, right?
Yeah.
So the next question will be, did your past challenges or failures have helped you or your business grow? And how?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like with every business you do, or like with every job you take, not even a business, there's definitely like a lot of challenges that come with it. And with being an entrepreneur, a lot of those challenges like they teach you how to be stronger and how to persevere through the like really, really tough things, and how to accept your losses sometimes. Because I feel like sometimes when you work for a bigger corporation, your mistakes are your mistakes, but it's also later on moved to a higher up. So you acknowledge it, and then you learn from it, but you don't feel the real depth of it. And when you run your own business, you feel the impact it has on your business and on yourself. So challenges for me come in a form of either customers or clients being unhappy, or maybe you're like recipe testing and everything like doesn't work out suddenly. So it's always like a tough thing to deal with, but then from there you just kind of grow and learn to fix the problems, like apologize to them if they're a customer, or apologize to yourself. Just forgive yourself, let it go, learn from it, and then move on.
And then the next question would be, what was the most rewarding thing so far that you have gained out of this whole experience of this whole starting your business?
Honestly, it's kind of to know that I have control over my life. Like I don't have to do the 9 to 5 thing because I hated the corporate life. Like I was never like from when I started degree, even though I did law, I never really wanted or saw myself in the 9 to 5 life. And I never saw myself sitting behind a desk for like 10 hours a day doing that. So now with this, the most rewarding thing is that like I have time to myself. I know when I have to work and I know when I can kind of chill out. Yeah, and definitely knowing that my job is something I love doing.
You're like 20,
I'm
23 this year, right? 22.
22.
So you started Crumbs when you were 21?
Yeah. Like last year, I think I started selling like March of last year-ish, I think.
So next question would be, what was the most surprising thing that you have learned from starting your business? So this is something that you never thought that you would learn from someone else except besides without starting this business, or something that you never thought you would need to know.
I think is that I definitely I think I would have learned this elsewhere, but it would have taken me a lot longer. Like it fast tracked that by a lot is that I learned to manage things a lot better in terms of like time and like accounts and all that and blah blah blah. But I also learned like to be accountable for everything. Like, because your time is up to you, your like where you need to go, what you need to do is everything is up to you. And the components of a business, like because when you work for another company, like we obviously do, um, we hear about like finance, marketing, HR, and all this going on. But when you're like a small business or like an entrepreneur, you are that you are all those components of a business. So like the joke between like me and my friends is like whenever I text customers, I use the word we, and they're always like, but it's just you. It's like marketing you, like baker you, delivery person you, and it's like kind of true. Like you only have yourself to rely on until you make enough money to hire someone else, right? So to be accountable for all those roles is definitely like a big responsibility and something that I've learned very quickly. And yeah, that it's really tough running a business.
So basically, you're like a one woman show, like doing every role, like director,
Yeah,
producer, actor, like all you.
exactly. Like when like halfway through baking, someone's gonna text you and be like, "Oh, can I order this?" Like, and I want it tomorrow. And like as much as like sometimes you don't want to take it, they like pull the guilt card. They're like, "Oh, but it's like my daughter's like graduation. I haven't gotten anything." And then you're like, "Ah, fine, I'll do it." And then you have to like figure everything out while like something's in the oven, your timer's going off, and like yeah, it's a lot of multitasking, but end of the day, it's kind of fun.
Has your business changed you, and how?
Yeah, definitely like it's made me grow up a lot quicker. Like 2 years ago, there's no way I would have been here. Like 2 years ago, I was in second year of law school, and like the plan was just to finish the degree and then see what to do after that. But like if you told me that I would like wouldn't be working a 9 to 5, wouldn't be in uni anymore, I would just be doing this and like teaching spin and all the other stuff I do, I definitely wouldn't have believed you because I was pretty lost at the time. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do full time. Yeah, so the running of Crumbs has definitely given me like the opportunity to mature and to be pretty independent for myself. And like the plus side is like I get to meet a lot of great people along the way who have supported me a lot and who have given me advice and shaped me into the person I am today.
So if someone told you that you'll be running this business now when you were in your second year of law school, would you just quit school and just start the
No, I would have
business?
quit school. Okay, I don't like law that much, but I still like it. Like I don't think I want to go court, but like if you like if this doesn't work out, let's just say, like I'll go back to law.
Okay lah, then you at least you have like a backup, right?
Yeah, I mean like I still want to go back to uni. I still want to do my masters. So
Next question is, Do you have any future plans for your business? So this can be how you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, long term, like super long term, the bigger idea like was always to open a cafe and have like coffee and like just a table of pastries. So like, everything homemade, like that's where this is hopefully gonna go. But that's the dream. That's like, give me 5, 10 years down the road, like in the next 1 or 2 years, it's just gonna be building like a very strong customer base, releasing new products when I can, and when I have the time to finish all the testing that I need to do. But yeah, the long-term plan is just to have something physical that people can go to that represents the company that has been built.
So, what do you think are the most important skills to be an entrepreneur? It can be more than one skill.
Most important, I think, interpersonal skills. So to be able to speak to customers and make them love your company and your brand itself enough to come back. Because I think people have a misconception that like, oh, I want a lot of customers all to come at once. And like as good as that is, like because you make this like big sum of like income quickly, what's important is that those people come back, or like those people spread the word. Because without that, you can't just rely on this one big hype to kind of keep your company running. So interpersonal skills in terms of chatting to them, and like when you meet them in real life, like for delivery or something, make them feel like you really really care about their experience and that you really put a lot of effort into their product. Another one is like responsibility and all that. It's kind of a given. Your time management, self-management, super important. Being accountable, like I spoke about before. And last one is definitely like discipline, because after a while you lose the motivation to keep going. Like you just like sit there and you're like, I don't want to bake today. And the discipline is that you have to keep doing it and like keep pushing out new material, keep pushing out new products to keep people interested. And when things get rough, even on days where you're super tired, you have to show up and like do your job, right? So it's super easy to give up, but the discipline, like rely on discipline instead of motivation. That's like the best skill to have, I guess.
Okay, so before we end this interview, what advice would you give to the struggling entrepreneurs? So, those people who are struggling to start a business.
I think one of the biggest struggles is that people have a fear of starting. So my advice is just like to take that jump, to take that leap, to just do it. Because like I think the best advice I ever got from my mom was that like, what's the worst they can say? No. It's just like, if you never try, you're never gonna find out, right? So like once you start, keep going. It's like it's the same as me. Like the company right now, Crumbs itself, is not where I want it to be. Like the 10-year plan is to have something physical, and there are bigger dreams. But if there's anything that I've learned in the past year that I think can be applied throughout the whole experience, is that it's hard work, and it's a lot of that. It's a lot of grit and like blood and sweat and tears. But at the end of the day, like if you don't give it a shot, if you don't try, you're gonna always look back one day and be like, oh, big waste. Like I should have done it. So if you're struggling to start, then just do it. That's the advice. Do it on a scale that you can manage, and that is feasible for yourself, and like for how many if you're planning to hire, then how many employees do you have, how many people can you have around you, and how many products can you push out. Plan it very smart. And then if you're struggling to keep it going, then like the best advice is just to like believe in yourself a little bit more. Like take the chance to do it, take the challenges. Like everything comes for a reason. And it sounds very preachy, but it's kind of true. Like all the challenges I went through, it kind of like, if a customer never complained to me, I will always be on this high horse, like, oh, like everything's good, like everything's blah blah blah. But obviously I have unhappy customers sometimes, and when they tell me like, oh, this tastes a bit off, then I'll make a new batch, taste it, and then if it is really off, then that's time to fix it. So as much as it like comes with the downfalls of it, there's always like a silver lining. Like there's always space to improve. And the last advice would be to like rest. Like really know when to take time for yourself, because this took me a long time to learn. And honestly, I'm still learning it because like I love working, and everyone's always like, you work too much. And I know I do, but like it's really important to know when to like take a step back, go on a holiday, or like just take a nap, right? Like take a day off, take a week off if you need to. And because as much as like the hustle is super important, the mental and physical well-being of you and your employees, if you do have employees, should top all of it, because that's where like the discipline and the motivation comes in. Like when they realize that they are appreciated as staff, and when you realize that you are very important to the company. So yeah, that's kind of the main idea behind it. Just like work hard, but like rest enough.
Thank you so much.